Foots and Fools, a podcast about detective games. I'm Andrew, and today I'm joined by my partner John. How are you doing today?
Hello, I sped run this game and we will talk about that.
Excellent. And we are also joined today by our special Japanifornia correspondent, Lynx.
Hello, I'm Lynx. Yeah, correspondent all the way from the remote location of our current game.
Yes. And today we are here for 2002's Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Justice for All! Exclamation point.
2002 is not when it came out in the United States, just saying.
Yeah, that was the original release in Japan.
2006, I believe, was the US release.
6 or 7, I think it's 7.
Yeah.
Debate has started 2 minutes into the recording.
Content warning for this episode. We've got some underage romance in case 3 and a fairly graphic depiction of self-harm in case 4 that recurs several times. Drop some reminders about that when we get into more details, but yeah, keep in mind that's in there because that hits harder than you think it would.
Talk to your friends if you're not okay.
We will also provide a warning prior to discussion of each section.
Yes. So this game follows the modest success of Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney the year before. They released it, it did decently well, and they decided to continue. So the same crew starts writing the second game, and that's why they're able to bring it out in something like just a year later, even with the small team they had back then, and on the Game Boy Advance. So a year later, we get Justice for All. So, Lynx, what is this game?
This game, as a sequel to like you phrased it, modest success, it's basically a point-and-click adventure game for the Game Boy Advance. You play as Phoenix Wright, intrepid defense attorney, as he navigates his way through a variety of cases for people to defend, usually against murder charges. The games are usually split up into a couple of segments. You'll usually start by investigating a crime scene or other locations for evidence, talk to people, gain their perspectives, and then transition into a court segment where you use that evidence and everything else you've learned in order to, ideally, get your client declared not guilty. You do this by cross-examining witnesses in the courtroom, press their statements for additional information, and present evidence to challenge their lies. There are so many lies.
Oh, yes.
The tagline for the Ace Attorney game podcast episodes should just be like, remember, perjury doesn't exist.
This court is utterly ridiculous. The general premise is that all trials have to be wrapped up in 3 days. The defendant is presumed guilty until proven innocent. Witnesses constantly lie on the stand and are required to revise their testimony and never punished for this at any point. The prosecution can coach witnesses, suppress evidence, hide evidence, allegedly fabricate evidence, and a variety of other things that we'll cover during the spoiler zone that are both entertaining and kind of horrifying.
In my own notes for this, I wrote, it makes me wonder what the world is like outside the courtroom. We don't really see much of that. But as we go on, because the last time I played this game was in 2007. So revisiting this game 18 years later is hitting far different now that I'm not as young and dumb.
Now that I'm not a literal teen.
I was 20 something.
Oh, you're old.
Thank you, Lynx.
You're welcome.
But how did you guys play this game? Like, on what medium and format?
Yeah, I definitely first played this game pretty soon after it originally launched in the United States on the DS. Yeah, I was in high school at the time. So basically just in chunks as I had time between homework and, I think as I put in the last podcast episode, riding around in the car with my mom.
I came to this just recently, played it for the first time this year. So I've been playing the remastered PC version that got ported in 2017. So it got some art upgrades and a more forgiving save system, I think. But other than that, it's still pretty similar.
I played this originally on the DS, and this time around I played it on my Steam Deck. And I wasn't going to have Case 4 finished by today, so I'll admit it, I watched the Let's Play in ×4 speed, and that hit incredibly different. I feel that playing in the way the game was designed is a lot better, because when I played on the DS, I could play on the move I could fold up the DS, put it back in my coat pocket, play in the subway, play wherever. The game is really good about like reminding you where you are and where you need to be, as long as you're not like a week between sessions. If you're just stopping and going, stopping and going, like it's a lot better. Whereas like while the Steam Deck is technically portable, it does not fit in a pocket unless you're Detective Gumshoe.
Yeah, definitely not working like that. Whereas I would sit down and do 1 or 2 hour blocks. So like I would do an entire investigation section or an entire court section.
I will admit I have not been replaying these games because I remember these cases quite well in general, and so replaying them kind of defeats the purpose of a point and click adventure game when you know all the answers. But I have been following, as in the previous episode, the ProZD Plays Games with Steven Angel Justice for All playthrough. It's a really good time. Their voice acting is great for all of the characters, and they also point out some things that I wouldn't necessarily have noticed even if I did replay it myself.
Also, it hits differently because like now that we have a bunch of episodes recorded, I take notes now. So I need some sort of way to take notes. So when I'm playing
Your court record.
a little bit, even when I was playing the Let's Play, I did it through Nora Blue, which we'll put a link later. And it has no commentary. So I'm just like literally just watching all the motions of it and taking his notes. But I remember a lot of it, but not all the details. But I would argue that playing it again now that you're older with more life years, like it does kind of hit differently. And like we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay, I'll take that into account for the next game in the series.
Objection!
Objection!
Whoa.
They do take quite some time to play. The point and click methodology of the adventure does keep things slow on the investigation side. And then with the court cases, they're meant to create a sense of courtroom drama, which does require them to sort of set up a bunch of narrative beats for you. So you can't just have mentally figured things out and skip to the end of the trial. You got to go through it.
Additionally, you can fast forward through text, but only if you've seen it before.
Yeah.
So if you present the wrong piece of evidence, no, that's the wrong evidence. Dialogue, yeah, you can skip through that, but you do have to sit through it the first time, no matter how long it is.
See, objection!
Objection!
Let's face it, we are mostly save scumming this game. You get one mistake. One mistake, you're like, nope, I want my perfect record. I'm going to load. So you see it again.
I think that's a you problem.
Dear listener, which one of us is true? You going to have not perfect record? Or you going to live up to Miles Esworth? You can argue with us on Discord.
Come at us in the comments. Listen, I want to see all the dialogue, which includes everybody yelling at Phoenix for presenting something stupid.
But that's my point, right? Like you see it the second time when you load. You can't skip it when you load.
Yeah, so I'll save after the first time it happens that I get something wrong. And then, I can get as many wrong as I want. And then before I get a game over, I'll just reset the game. And then I have most of my health bar back.
Blue block, blue. Speaking of which, what's new in this game?
2 major new things compared to the previous, and they've both been added to the investigation section primarily. The simple one is profiles. So in addition to a whole bar of evidence, every person you meet gets added as a profile picture.
Meet or mentioned.
Mentioned as well? All right. And then as you talk to anyone or later in the courtroom scenes, you can present these profiles like you're presenting a piece of evidence in order to ask the person you're talking to about that other person. And this is required for a lot of the investigation scenes and in the courtroom scenes as well.
How often did you present a person with their own profile?
I don't remember how often I did that.
Sometimes it gets you fun dialogue.
Eventually, it happened a lot.
Pretty often, man.
Look, it's you.
Mhm. And then the other thing is the psych lock. So you unlock this in the second case, and it adds sort of a challenge to the investigations where one of the witnesses you're talking to, you'll see very quickly they have a psych lock covering up a secret, and it'll manifest as some number of locks on the screen. And in order to break this, you need to present them with a number of pieces of evidence equal to the number of locks, and they'll usually have specific questions. And so you have to do a bunch of investigating usually in order to get all of these pieces of evidence, then go and challenge them. The hard part I found was actually knowing when you have the evidence to break people's psych locks.
Yeah, because sometimes people can have between 1 and 5, I believe. And so you need very specific pieces of evidence. Plus, it uses your court health bar during the psych lock interrogation. And so if you mess up a lot in one of those sections or the other, you have less wiggle room going forward.
Yep, which also means saving.
Saves coming.
I do find it interesting you pronounce it as psych lock.
Oh.
That is also how I pronounced it mentally and verbally, I suppose.
Yeah, Cyclock.
I suspect that the game may be going for psyche lock, as in this person is trying to hide something so hard that they have locked down something in their psyche to prevent you from finding it out.
Oh.
But, it's a Japanese game. I don't know that necessarily that distinction would have been important. It's not important.
You could be right.
I just think it's interesting.
Yeah, I had no idea about that.
Yeah, there's an E there. You're right.
It is Psyche Lock.
But it just sounds worse to me.
I would bet it has a cool pun name or something in Japanese.
I don't like it. I don't like the extra syllable.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. So we can get into more general things we like and dislike about the game before we get to the spoiler zone. So let's start in with some positives. What are some of the things you really like about this game?
Yes.
That music.
The music is great.
The lingles and stuff. Yeah, I'm going to talk about it later, but each of the cues for the characters are fun. And I didn't notice a subtle shift in the characters when their new music came up, and I'll talk about that later.
All of the characters are just absolute delightful whack jobs. I'm not sure how else to say it. There's a couple of recurring characters from past cases. For example, from the samurai case, the Steel Samurai from the last game.
Turnabout Samurai, I believe.
The poor big doofy guy who got blamed willpowers, he shows up again in the fourth case. Not as a prime character in the case, just sort of on the side. A couple others that I won't spoil for now.
All the music has been updated, including the save jingle and the courtroom music. The investigation music for each location is new, I believe.
The courtrooms are still just peak scripted drama in a really delicious way when it comes off.
I had a much better time for the courtroom scenes watching it in ×4 speed. I was like, I could feel myself being excited, just like, ooh, just sipping on my drink going, what happens next? Wait, I know what happens next. I played this years ago.
The tension, the drama.
Yeah.
It's heightened when it's fast.
Mm-hmm.
It's super fast and the music is going at ×4 speed. Yo, man, I literally finished the last chapter 2 minutes before we came on to record.
I've been watching some Perry Mason recently, and all those episodes are like 50 minutes long, and sometimes have a very similar structure of like investigation, pre-trial, or epilogue. And it's very cool because you can see like what this game is trying to recreate. Because you're doing it all the details, not just watching it, it does take a lot slower. But I imagine watching it on X4 with someone who already knows what they're doing is kind of like watching that.
Yes. I would highly suggest somebody play through the game legitimately first. But this is like a 25-hour game, man. You get your money's worth. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah. You can get like the triple pack of the first 3 games for $20 full price on Steam. And it's like 60 plus hours of gameplay. And that's full price.
We're spoiling the fact that we do like this game.
Details. And something that I really like is this game deliberately stacks the deck against you with the crazy ass world that you're in and the bullshit the prosecutors pull on you at trial. And the game sometimes pulls on you so that you can feel like a badass when you somehow are able to snatch that victory out of nowhere.
They have to do something to plot Phoenix still being the underdog, even though he's won every single case that he's ever been a defense attorney in.
That we've been shown.
True.
Because there's no way he could afford to run his business for like the 6 months or like the year between the first game and now. Like, no. You know how much money that guy probably spends on hair gel?
Number 1 business expense.
I hope he can expense it.
And probably does. I don't know who's paying that judge, but they shouldn't be.
I mean, you got Gumshoe always getting his salary cut. Like,
that poor man.
Like, does he have any salary left at this point?
That's a good question.
this was in 2007 at a different time when it's the world in cops.
Yeah.
Whereas even in the last game, Miles Edgeworth's office probably cost more than some people's houses.
Oh, yeah, that last case.
But Edgeworth is like, look at the way he dresses. He's got generational wealth. He's got to have generational wealth.
No one else would have a cravat.
Oh, that's so true. As we know, he was mentored by Manfred von Karma,
Von Karma.
who is similarly opulent.
And his dad was a defense attorney from the first game.
True.
Some of the stuff that isn't as great, the big one for me is just the investigations generally. I find them to be kind of long, boring, and have all the flaws of a point and click adventure where in order to figure out how to progress, I just have to rub every single object on every person until the story progresses.
This is again where I will advocate just looking up a spoiler free walkthrough. There's plenty of them out there. If you get to the point where you are completely out of ideas, there is absolutely no shame in just looking it up because sometimes the game's logic is its own and shared with no one else.
Especially the investigation part. Most of the time in the court cases, things make sense when you finally figure out what they are. You're like, okay, I can see why this was the logical chain that got me here. Occasionally, I'm just like, what? Why? Why did I have to ask this person about this other person in order to progress something?
Or have to go through all of these different rooms. Just give me a map.
Yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion that was some old like GBA limitations.
Totally possible.
And then sort of one of the things, like because the courtrooms are attempting to set up a sense of high drama, they do heavily script what you can do. So you are never really in control of the courtrooms and the logical chains. It's much more just like you're dealing with a series of individual questions one at a time, which can be good for creating a nice narrative sense, but it can feel really bad when you've mentally figured out what's going on or what you need to do, but you have to deal with a bunch of questions you feel like aren't that interesting or are like they're too small steps. Or occasionally you do a bunch of really small steps to establish something, and then the next question becomes a giant leap, and you're like, wait a minute, you don't want me to take like 10 steps to establish this? It's just one?
Phoenix is apparently allowed to make as many leaps as he wants, but you're not.
Yep. But once you play the game, you sort of get a feel for it. Like the first one is always a bit rougher, but especially coming to this after playing the first game, I was able to slot in pretty quickly and figure out, okay, this is sort of the level of jump I need to make most of the time, and it worked.
Yeah, the game does, I think, still do a pretty good job of teaching you how to play it, just in general,
Yeah.
especially with the tutorial cases being fairly straightforward, or at the very least, small in scope.
Yeah, they usually don't have a major investigation section, if any at all. It's usually just kind of going straight into trial with things being sent to you pretty straightforwardly. There's not too many questions, not too many big jumps you need to make. That's before they then unleash you, usually in the second case. Anything else we want to cover before we start getting to the spoiler zone?
Nah, I'm excited.
Well, do we recommend the game?
Oh yeah, shit.
Can't forget that.
How about this? How many times have you guys bought this game?
I've only bought it once, but I'm the newcomer here, so I don't count.
It's either 2 or 3 times. I know I've bought the original DS cartridge and on Steam. I don't remember if I bought the 3-pack on Switch, but it's totally possible I did that too.
I am sure I have minimum of 3. The original on the Switch and on Steam. Minimum 3. How many times have I played it? Twice. Well, 1.5. I've admitted to speed YouTubing this one. I do not feel cheated of my money.
Yes, we definitely recommend this one, especially if you enjoyed the first game. You're going to enjoy the second one. I know some mystery buffs quibble with some of the details on this one and say, these cases aren't quite as good as the first ones, but it's still more of a case of good instead of great.
In fact, I would argue that one of the cases in this game is widely regarded as the worst case in the series. We will get there. But now that you made it through that one, it's all uphill from here.
Yes, so this is the spoiler zone.
Whoa.
Alrighty.
I'm just going to start saying Pearl's the best. I'm just going to say that now.
Pearl's the absolute best.
Fight me. Come fight me.
Pearls and Maya tied. Best girls. They're great.
Well, before we get to Pearls, the opening tutorial case, is there anything we really want to say about it besides it's a tutorial case?
Oh, isn't it?
Maggie Bird.
Yes, and the banana.
The banana.
The villain in that one's incredibly insufferable.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, agreed.
I would like to point out that the pun in Maggie Bird's name obviously is the magpie bird, which are, as I understand it, in like common folklore in England and the UK especially, omens of bad luck.
Oh, interesting. The stereotype I always heard about them is they steal all the shiny things.
Oh, well, that's just true. So ask any Australian, I think. They love shiny things. But that's the reason that her character is just constantly beset by bad luck all of her life. is pointed at by her name being a reference to the magpie.
And the way that they give you this spoon-fed trial, with the opening of the case, Phoenix gets bopped in the head and has temporary amnesia.
As we all know, that's how amnesia works.
Yes, don't worry about it. And he needs to have everything explained to him, which is how they tutorialize this. And in a later interview, Takami said, yeah, I could pull the amnesia trick once for a tutorial, but after that, we had to find other ways because that would have gotten old real fast.
Hold it!
Objection!
I'm gonna press you on this again.
Shit.
Shu Takumi is his last name.
Oh, did I do it again?
Yes.
Takumi?
Yes.
Damn. I don't know why I keep doing that, but you are right. I will have to concede this point.
All right.
Extra dumb since I wrote it recently, and I remember that it was Takumi and then said it wrong anyway.
Same vowel as his first name.
Details. Bungling names is not disqualifying for talking into a mic,
Correct.
regardless of whether or not it should be.
In this case, we got the return of Winston Payne.
Yay.
He's okay.
He's fun to dunk on.
Yes.
That's his goal in life.
He is there to be walked over.
I did also enjoy the pun name of the victim in this trial. He's a cop,
Oh.
ACAB, and his name is Dustin Prince. Dust for fingerprints.
Oh, fuck. I just realized it.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody here is going to be some kind of fun pun.
Mm-hmm.
Dick Wellington.
Mm-hmm.
That's just because he's a douche.
Yup.
It's not really a pun.
And implying his, like, fancy demeanor.
Oh, yes.
Shout out to Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor as his ringtone.
Ah, yes.
Mhm.
Comes up here and also at the end of the game, where Phoenix has an extremely dramatic dream while he's waiting for Maggie Bird's trial to start, with the judge being a giant looming ahead of him.
Yeah, that dream sequence was bizarre.
That happens also in the last case, right?
Yeah, it's a very deliberate callback.
Pretty reasonably straightforward case, like not too much crazy stuff, no investigation. Definitely a great moment of, what was it, the yellow baseball glove being mistaken for a bunch of bananas, which I believe is a reference to some past case. I would have to dig up that reference before, but someone mentioned it showed up elsewhere.
Don't recall that in a previous case.
I don't know if it's in an Ace Attorney game. I think it's a book that was written a while ago or something like that.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, I'd have to remember where it was, though. Someone told me this, and I feel bad for not remembering. But we can move on to the first real meaty case. Case 2.
Yeah.
All right. Lynx, tell us why this case is awesome.
This case is awesome because we actually get in-universe backstory and details and, like, dirt about the Fae family. So we finally get explanations and just any information at all about how Maya can channel ghosts. It's really fun. She's part of this whole lineage of female spirit channelers, the intergenerational politics in play. Maya is very powerful, but her aunt, Morgan, in parentheses, La Faye, is scary and perhaps wants to usurp the head of the family for her adorable little daughter, Pearls. She's the best.
It was like 10 years old or so?
I think she's like 7, 8.
Oh, yeah, she might be even younger.
Yeah. She reminds me a lot of my 4-year-old niece.
She's very young.
And that she's sheltered, so...
Mm-hmm.
The running gag is she doesn't know, like, trains, computers, and stuff. Man, what a time to be a child and not know what a cell phone is.
Yeah, in 2026, no less.
I forgot about that. I was going to be like, oh, yeah, a child in 2002 not knowing what a cell phone is. That's weird. But no, it's not then.
I mean, in 2002, I could understand it, but not in the year that this game is, in fact, actually set. Pearl Faye is aged 8 in this game.
There we go. And so previously, Maya had gone to go train extensively. And so now you get to go see the remote location, which apparently is still within easy transit of Japanifornia's totally not Los Angeles.
It's about a 2-hour bus ride, I believe.
Yeah, so it's on the periphery of Los Angeles-ish somewhere. And you go to visit her at her spirit channeling compound. And you get to see the client goes in, and the client and Maya go into the room, and you're just sitting there waiting for the spirit channeling to be over. And then a gunshot. And we're off to the races.
And a second gunshot.
Yes, the second gunshot is crucial.
We get 2 gunshots. We get the client killed. Probably Maya and the murder, because you go in and you can see Maya just standing there. And then you get quickly whooshed out of the room. Maya gets arrested for murder, and you get to defend her in court.
Maya, perfect baby.
And this case gets quite wacky. You get to meet one of the other people staying there. What was her last name? Eeny
Miny.
Miny, and Meeny Miny. So yes.
That shit was annoying as hell to read.
Yes, she's... What's the phrase? Is it like excessively cutesy and twee? Or is it just cutesy?
No, Ditzy. Ditzy.
No, ditzy is, oh god.
Yeah, California girl style of Ditzy.
Oh yeah, she definitely speaks in a total Valley Girl accent.
Yeah, I wanted to kill her just for that alone.
Hey, we can't help it, all right?
It's just so bad.
It's like totally bad.
Oh, you're killing me. So this is the first big proper case because you've got a decent chunk of investigation, and then the first day of trial, and then another chunk of investigation, and a second day of trial. There's about a third day as well.
Just 2 days of trial in this case.
All right, that's good. And the investigation isn't too long. This wasn't case 3 where it felt like the investigation just dragged on forever.
Oh boy, we'll get there.
Yeah, so this one, not as much of a problem. So the way the trial goes, it appears initially that this is a locked room murder, where only one person is in the room when the murder happened. Well, besides the victim is in the room when the murder happens. Therefore, they have to have committed the crime. But you get to start poking holes in this story because allegedly Maya went into that room holding the only key to the door and locked it. And when, after the shots were heard, you guys break down the door and enter it. But somehow you're given the key from outside the room, and it's like, wait a second, how did that key leave the room? Because it couldn't have.
It is a mystery.
Dun, dun, dun.
Bottle episode.
Yeah. And so you end up bumping into Pearls around and figuring out, like, things are a bit weird because Eeny, she's staying in a room on one side of the compound. There's only one way to go through to the main section, and Pearls is busy playing in that middle section or doing something else. And Eeny has somehow made it to the main area, starts telling you things about it. And you're like, wait a minute, how did you get there? And it becomes very clear. She's lying.
How do you know that she's lying?
Well, the answer turns out because she didn't notice Pearl accidentally broke a giant urn in the middle of the pathway that she would have had to literally step over to get there.
Well, yes, but how do you know that she has a secret that she is trying to keep from you?
Oh, during the investigation part, it's the first psyche lock.
Yes. Maya, once she's arrested, gives you an item that you will be keeping with you for the rest of the game, the Magatama, which is a reference to Japanese traditional spiritual practice. You'll see this sort of shaped item in a lot of Japanese games and a lot of media set in Japan, because in real life they are, I don't know if holy is the right word for it, but they are intensely spiritual items, usually made out of a precious stone or some sort of durable material. This is, in fact, the same item that Maya's had around her neck the entire time you've known her. So she gives you one of them, and when you meet up with Pearl later, Pearl loves, adores, reveres her cousin Mystic Maya, and so wants to help her out at any cost, and charges the Magatama with spiritual energy, which is how you are able to see these psyche locks.
Because Nick is her someone.
Yeah, I can recognize the shipping impulse, Pearl, but they are 10 years apart. Oh, God. And this isn't even the underage romance that we implied at the top of the episode, but it is a theme from Pearl's end specifically. She just ships them, which, yeah, we won't even go there.
Yeah, so this case gets quite wacky because it seems to be connected to a previous incident from several years before. The man who was killed was a doctor running a clinic where he overworked his nurse, somebody made a mistake, and a bunch of patients died. And then later, driving home, that overworked nurse crashed her car, and while driving her sister home, the nurse died, and the sister had to go to, reconstructive surgery. And that sister turns out to be Eeny.
Yeah, it can be a little bit twisty-turny following all of the turnabouts, as you might say, in this case, but the person you have met as Eeny Miny is revealed to be, in fact, her sister Mimi Miny, who had her whole face melted off in that car crash.
It's really gruesome. This story was necessarily gruesome.
Lucky for her, Dr. Hottie was there at the Hottie clinic. is
That's the first time I've heard someone say it. I always thought Hoti.
no,
Oh my
it's the
god.
Hottie Clinic. I
Yeah.
would
Oh no.
Yes.
put money on it.
The guy is so gross. Sort of like Salmonella was the previous gross, slobbering, shouldn't be allowed near women character from the first game. Now it's Dr. Hottie.
But he's at least in a mental clinic, so it wasn't as bad. We'll stop.
Turns out he's a patient there at least. But it was very funny because when we first hit that clinic, my initial thought was, wait a minute, we don't actually know which sister it was that went here, because if they had to have their face reconstructed, then who was it underneath? And then the case went on long enough, I forgot that.
Mm.
And then only remembered later. But we should talk about the other amazing character introduced, Von Karma.
What? Von Karma, but he's in jail.
Whip, whip, whip. Whip it good.
Yeah. So this is the daughter of Von Karma, who has been training in Germany and has just returned. She became a prosecutor at, what was it, 16 or something?
No, I think she became a prosecutor at age 9. She's 16 now.
Oh, Jesus. And she hasn't lost a case, and she is coming to take over and avenge her father, maybe? Unsure about that.
Oh, my mistake. She's 18 now.
And because this is Phoenix Wright world, she carries a whip around with her at all times and just whips people for shits and giggles, including you, a lot.
And the judge. She's equal opportunity whipper.
True. When the judge does something she doesn't like, she whips them. She'll whip her own witnesses. She whips Dr. Hottie, which at least that one was deserved.
Yep, very much so.
I don't think she whips any women now that I think about it.
I think she might have whipped someone in the 4th case exactly once. But yeah, she's much more chill on women than she is on the men in her life, which honestly, I get it.
Considering most of those men, I'd want to whip some of them too.
Yep.
I'm gonna leave that to you, ladies. It's dumb.
I need some whipping. Considering who the witnesses are, yeah. Dr. Hottie, whip him
Sure.
even more. Although he might have liked it, so I'm not sure that was the right thing.
I do want to call attention to one point, the second case, where like Phoenix Wright objects to when Maya calls Edgeworth a friend.
Mm-hmm.
And that was noticeable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that gives a hint of like the themes of the whole game, which I'll get to my thoughts of that in the 4th case when we wrap it up. But at that time, I remember the basic framework of every case, but I don't remember the actual words. And then when Von Karma was introduced, she gives Phoenix Wright an out by saying like, "Hey, you could take the justified self-defense. Like that's cool. She'll still be like acquitted of murder, but like we'll let her off easy because it's justified self-defense." And at that time, I was like, "Is Von Karma cool or not?" And but I played the game before, so I kind of know she's not. She just wants to win.
And she's got to beat Phoenix Wright specifically because Phoenix Wright was the one that defeated her father's perfect win record. And she's got a perfect win record, and they're both on karma, so they have to be perfect all the time.
Well, that ends when she bumps into the buzzsaw that is Phoenix Wright's hair.
Hey, tax deductible.
I don't know if Francisca can take that off of her taxes, but...
No, I meant his hair gel. I'm talking about hair gel.
Oh, she's German. She's not paying taxes in Japanifornia anyway.
Oh, no, I'm talking about Phoenix's hair gel.
Definitely.
That whip's got to get stuck on something.
Okay, I had to check myself. She was ready to pass the bar by the age of 13, and now she is 18. And in the intervening time, of course, she has had a perfect win record.
Wouldn't have anything less. But yes,
No.
she does excessively whip just about everyone, including whenever Phoenix makes a good point and the judge is like, hey, yeah, actually, wait a minute, you can't do that. Bam, whipped.
She even whips the judge.
Yeah.
In one case or other.
Sometimes she whips like all the people within reach just for good measure, like the judge and Phoenix and the witness.
And listen, again, as a kinkster, like, whips are fun. Just, to get consent, usually. Get consent before you hit anyone with them. That's just common sense. Nothing inherently wrong with whips.
And this case is a lot of fun, considering how messed up this world is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
There was a little minor issue with some of the legal underpinning for the twist. They, I think, in the process of localizing it, made a brief oversight where when you do the reveal of the fact that Eni is actually Meanie,
Mm-hmm.
the legal basis for this is that the person standing in the courtroom today has to have been the one. We know that they were driving, and the only legal person who could have been driving is Meanie. Therefore, the person in the courtroom today is Meanie. This slightly falls down because he could have legally been driving under California law because Eni had a driver's permit, not a driver's license. But a driver's permit allows you to drive if there is a licensed adult in the passenger seat, or parent or guardian, or like a licensed adult over 25, or parent or guardian.
You've just lost the entire audience, my friend.
Details. I mean, it's one of those like little minor things where I was like, well, of course Eni could have still driven on her driver's permit. That's how that works. I went through that process. I was in
So did
California
I.
learning how to drive. Yeah. What do you mean this is wrong?
I believe that point of evidence is made moot by the fact of the car doors. Because
Which you have to know about cars to
Oh,
know
the car
about.
doors still work.
Yeah, but remember, like I'm from New York. Like I didn't get a license until I was 21. Like British doors, it would not have been on my mind. The driver's side left it because it was a miracle.
right, and they must have had to do a sleight of hand during the localization too, because if this is taking place in somewhere where they drive on the right, whether or not that's the United States or Japanifornia, this particular car is an import, which has the driver on the right hand side for a car that drives on the left.
Yeah. But yeah, you can see it's probably in that process, just like one little thing got overlooked. It's not that big of a deal, but in a game about being a rules lawyer, it mildly annoyed, that little tiny bit mildly annoyed.
And you can see that it still hasn't quite fully clicked in my head, even though I've gone over this case several times. Who did what when?
Like you have to have the transcript out for it to really make sense. I went over it with somebody who is like an ace attorney, I want to say like expert, like really goes into all the details. They went at the
Oh,
end of it, we're like, yeah, that looks like a minor oversight.
who's this? They better not be coming for my place on this podcast.
Not at this point. The expert I want has a list of like where every case draws inspiration from. So I was thinking of having a special for that.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah. But future episodes. Yeah. I liked this case quite a bit. Like I think it was my favorite of this game of the 4.
Really? This case is your favorite?
Yes, of the 4 within this game.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like it
Because pro
yeah,
was
had the
strong.
right balance of everything for me.
Say more.
Let's see. So the investigation didn't feel like it dragged. The logic worked for me within the courtroom. I only got just like absolutely stonewalled once or twice where I was just like, what the hell am I doing next? Most of the time I was like, all right, what's the next step? Okay, I think I know what evidence. And I could usually, like, as soon as we get to the next statement, you have to disprove. I didn't narrow it down to like 1 or 2 pieces of evidence. Like, I'm pretty sure it's this one or this one. And most of the time, I guess I was just on the right wavelength with how the puzzles were designed for this case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, for that reason, it was my favorite.
This one hit differently for me now that I'm old because how much grief the sisters went through, and I can understand like wanting to start over, every like your life falling apart, you giving a second chance. You got your sister's face,
Mm.
and like you can rebuild. I can kind of understand that nowadays more than I did when I was in my early 20s. But man,
Yeah. And it ties into like not just the family dynamic of the twin sisters, Eni and Mimi, but also the cousins of, yeah, what are you doing with your life? For example, Eni being a bit of a fuck up and Mimi being a nurse, or Maya being the head of the Fae clan, but also leaving and doing her own thing in the wider outside world versus Pearl, who is this sheltered child trained to be the perfect spirit medium to usurp the head of the Fae clan.
you might say she was trying to be the very best.
Like no one ever was.
But that's the thing, right? Like we skipped over the whole thing about Pearl loses her mom because of this.
Not to death, but to jail. Yeah.
Not to death, yeah, to jail. And like frames her cousin. She'll later say like Maya's all she's got. And on one hand, it's like it could have easily went the other way from an 8-year-old going like, "Yo, you're the reason why I don't got my mom anymore."
Mm-hmm.
So like, I don't know.
If she didn't already have this great relationship with Maya, I could see that happening. But I'm very glad this series went in the lighthearted direction of, no, Pearl's just your new little sidekick now while Maya's indisposed.
Yeah,
Arrest.
we saved the murders.
Yeah. And then we also coincidentally still have someone who can channel spirits.
Anything else you want to say about this case?
I did actually want to get to the point where, as we have been touching on, this case involves a lot about the mechanics behind spirit channeling. And it is personally very entertaining to me that in this specific case, it's a plot point that when Maya is channeling spirits, or when anyone is channeling the spirit of a dead person, their looks transform. They physically change to resemble the person that they are channeling. This,
Ooh, yes.
to my knowledge, this is never touched on again the rest of the game.
Well, they've explained it once. You're good enough.
Yeah, surely everyone else in this world understands what's happening here.
I'm assuming that all the guards in like the detention center and everything is always like, yeah, I don't get paid enough for this, man.
That one guard.
Yeah, that one guard that you can't see his eyes, like, yeah. Like, they're still here. They didn't go nowhere.
See, I'm thinking more like the audience in the courtroom or whoever's watching the coverage on TV if it's televised. Maybe it's not televised. I guess court cases usually aren't. Ignore that.
Who knows in this world, man?
That she do. One thing that's interesting about this is the spirit channeling, while it is supernatural, follows a set of rules. And
Mm-hmm.
the society treats it as standard. And so you can integrate it into a fair play mystery like this because it's never used as a get out of jail free card. It's just a different mechanical system that you then work into your solution for your case. And everybody else treats it the same way.
That's a really good point. Yeah, it's just any other mechanic.
And I could be paraphrasing this wrong, but I believe they're described as in the Western canon for the fair play mystery. One of the commandments was no supernaturals, no ghosts, no ghoulies, nothing like that. And that's from.
It also says no Chinaman.
Right. We'll get to that in a
In the
second.
Knox
Yeah.
list.
So Ronald Knox's list, one of the things is no supernatural stuff because in the past, some mystery writers before the Golden Age had sort of used that as a get out of jail free card to solve their plot when they couldn't write a decent plot. And so that was one of the no-nos.
Yeah.
But when that went to Japan and they started iterating on it, they did include the supernatural, but always in a way that it wasn't just there to be like, oh, well, ghosts did it, bye-bye. It was like it's integrated in here, like a part of the society. It follows rules. And so once you incorporate how the supernatural works, it's just more rules to follow, and therefore it's a fair play again.
Yeah, very true. As long as you structure your world appropriately and adhere to that structure, the supernatural element is one of the things about this whole series that makes me really enjoy it.
Yeah, like it's fun. And again, they don't use it just to be like, well, we couldn't think of another way to, catch the killer. So surprise, ghosts. But are you guys ready for case 3?
Oh, one last thing about this case is I brought up Pearl being able to channel spirits because at the very end of this case, there's a really precious moment where, spoiler alert, in the spoiler zone, Phoenix wins the case and gets Maya acquitted because Morgan Fay orchestrated the whole thing with the mighty sister, whatever you want to call her. But Pearl is with you and is able to channel Mia so that Maya can see Mia again for the first time. And it's such a sweet little piece of art of them hugging. Like, oh, it's all 3 spirit channelers together at long last. Yeah, precious moment. Oh, before we go any farther, was I the only one that got really bothered by the number of spelling mistakes and grammar mistakes in this game?
Did not even notice it.
Okay.
I didn't notice it, but I'm also notorious for not noticing things like that.
I believe there was a new localization team for this game because they, wanted to actually put some effort into it because the first game sold well. They didn't have high hopes for the first game, but now, hey, maybe we'll make a series out of it. But this localization team fucked it up. There are so many spelling and grammar errors in this game specifically, especially compared to how few there were in the first game.
I mean, they turned this one around in like a year.
Yeah, but they should have just given it to me. I would have spell checked it.
You were in high school.
Yeah, and I had already placed at the state in the spelling bee. They also decided to start throwing in a bunch of pop culture references. Again, I would bet that that's more due to the localization than anything.
All right, we're going to split this episode into 2 parts, and this is the end of part 1. And we're looking forward to seeing everybody in part 2. You can follow us on Blue Sky at Flatfoots and Fools, one word. Our podcast is edited by Peter Crevier. Podcast art by Lolita Gross. Music by Antonic Music.
Catch you in 2 weeks.
Keep on searching.